Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about talking to people, basically. You should have questions whilst you're at university, partly because it's a good way to learn. Active learning is good, we know this, and also universities can be really confusing places for really dumb reasons sometimes. So, how to get help is a really important skill for you to have, and I'm going to kind of give you some of the tips and tricks and stuff here so that you can maximize your help. There are lots of people whose job it is to help you, but often we have very specific roles in which we are allowed or capable of doing so. To give you some context, for example, there are over 600 students in Eng 1500. So if what I do is answer emails, that would be all I would ever do. So there are better ways, for example, often of interacting with me, and we're going to kind of go through some of these things. What is important to know is that whilst we are both very time poor most of the time, universities are still considered very formal places in most of the world. So we hold to a fairly formal way of communicating, which is almost always a lot slower. So trying to balance these things can be a little tricky. Email is the university's way of communicating. That's its official communication method is email. And normally I can say to this generation, send a professional email. Pull your finger out, do it properly. And most of you know what to do from this point onwards. But I'll highlight a few of the cultural expectations that are really important for you to know. The first one is titles. So anybody who is an academic, like myself, it means you have a PhD, then you will have a title. And even if you don't, you will have a title, right? And you need to get titles right. Titles can be important. How do you know? You look them up. So if you don't know what title Dylan has, you Google Dylan Cuss Kelly, UON, and every university has these staff profiles which will have the correct title. And sometimes nowadays things like correct personal pronouns and those types of things as well. But you absolutely need to use the right title. I am not Mr. Cuss Kelly, but also I am not Professor Cuss Kelly. They are very different things. And actually, depending on what university in the world you go to, these titles get used differently, and it can be considered extremely offensive to get them wrong. So I'm Dr. Cuss Kelly. That is my correct title. I won't be Professor Cuss Kelly for like 15 years at best. So don't call me that. Um, and also, when you do your emails, you should also start formally, particularly when you're emailing somebody more senior than you. You go very formal and you let them set the tone. If they reply back to you, yeah, she'll be right, mate, no dramas, cheers, Dill, then sure, you can drop your level of formality in your reply email to that, but always start formal, and if they stay formal, you stay formal. Okay? That's just how it works. Some other tips and tricks, make them as clear as you possibly can. So you actually want to be in this situation over here where you spend 20 minutes crafting an email for me to reply yes from my phone, because I'm going to get 200 emails a day and I'm not going to answer 200 emails a day. It just doesn't happen. I don't have enough time. Which means, what ones am I going to answer first? I'm going to answer the ones that have all the information in them that I can answer as effectively and efficiently as possible. They're the ones that go to the top of the list. So be this. That's good for you because I will do it from my phone for you. If I have to respond with what degree are you doing, then you're going to the bottom of the list, but you're going to the bottom of the list tomorrow that I may or may not get to. So try and make it as easy as possible, and then you're most likely to get a response. I understand that that's not an equal relationship here, and another one that's not an equal relationship is this one. I will expect you to be checking your emails every day and being on top of all of that. Even though it might take me 3 or 4 days to get back to you, the university's expectation is that you're checking your emails multiple times a day. It is the official communication method of the university, so if something important needs to be told to you, it will almost certainly be told via email. And that's all they have to do. So this assessment has changed, the class has been cancelled, whatever, it will go out as an email and you are expected to know that. I didn't see the email is never an acceptable excuse at the university. Now, most of what you're going to get as first year students is crap spam. Wade through the crap every day. Just keep an eye on it. You're probably going to get like only a couple of really important emails, but you got to wade through the crap to get to them, all right? It's cost of doing business here. Oh, okay. Institutional email accounts as well. You will have all been given an @UON email account, and you now must use it. This is how you be a professional. If you go to work at a company, you get an institutional email address. That is the only one that's acceptable to use for business related to that company, right? Same goes here. You are a student of this institution. You have a student email address. That is the only one you use ever when you're emailing your academics or anything like that. I would never, as an employee of the company, be emailing you from my Gmail, and thus I never expect to get one from your Gmail, okay? And absolutely not from your Hotmail account. Separate church and state here. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, the spam blocker. I should address that really quickly. I don't. I get told in my email system whether the email is essentially internal or external, came from not an @UON or not Gmail account, and they basically immediately get blocked in semester. So if I'm not responding to your emails, it's probably because you're not using your right email address. All right, let's do an example with email stuff. This was a kind of a real example. I don't know if I can call it a real example. I made all the names up. All the names are fake, so I don't know if that still makes it a real example, but it's very close to a real example of somebody I knew who was going for a job interview, and they sent this email, and it didn't even get past the admin staff. It didn't get to the candidature committee. It got blocked and sent back to the person saying, this is too informal, write it again before we pass it on. And it doesn't look that bad, but hi is not generally considered an acceptable formal email greeting. Absolutely, you could not use hey or something like that. That's terribly bad, but hi also can be considered bad. In this case, I would have gone with a dear. Most people don't mind hi in Australia, but yeah. Also, whoever this particular person is, they have a title and it should have been awarded to them. Regards, I would say, is probably fine. Kind regards, warm regards. My go-to is kind regards. And sincerely, all of those I would consider totally fine. Something like cheers, which I will do when I'm emailing somebody I know, uh, is absolutely unacceptable in this case, but I don't know if I would have flagged regards. And then the other one here, Sam Peterson. So made up names here, but there is in this case, let's say it was actually Samuel Peterson and they went by Sam. You should be careful here. So particularly when you email me, for example, all of the systems that I have to access in the background to do all of the things that I do will have your full legal name in it. So if your legal name is Samuel and you've said Sam, it's very likely that there is a person within the course who is actually called Sam Peterson. I could have a Samuel and a Sam. This has happened before more than once, not with these specific names, but you get my drift here. And now I'm looking up the wrong person. So I don't have a problem with you putting a preferred name in your signature, but I'd say also include your legal name maybe in brackets or something like that so I know who to look up, because otherwise this creates confusion all the freaking time. I'll always try and use your preferred name back to you. I think that is the right thing to do, but I always will need your legal name to look you up in any of our systems, okay? So the things that I want to see when you email me. Student number is even better again. Student number and full name are the things I need to look you up. Some of the systems rely on student number, some of them rely on name. It's just how it is. If you put your preferred name in, as I said, I'll always try and use it for you. If I don't, I just made a mistake and I'm sorry. I'll always try. I also need to know your tutorial number and your project title. So in this particular course, and it's fairly unique to this course, the civils get a slightly different version of the course to the chemicals, to the electricals, whatever. And so most of the questions I get, my answer is dependent on what type of engineering you're doing. So I need to know that. So I need you to tell me what type of engineer you are, and your tutorial number, your class number. Don't tell me the Wednesday 11 o'clock class. There's 5 classes on Wednesday at 11. That is not helpful information to me. I need your tutorial number and what type of engineering you're doing, and that way I'll hopefully be able to respond to you. Within the first couple of weeks of semester, without fail, the most common email I have to write is, what project are you doing? Or what engineering are you doing? and then you go to the bottom of my list, right? So avoid that loop, get a better, faster answer by just giving me this information straight up. Oh, also, I don't care so much about some of the formality stuff I just went through. It's super person dependent. I have no problems with the greeting of hi. That's totally fine. I also have no problems from this point forward with you calling me Dylan. That's fine. So hi Dylan, I will consider a perfectly acceptable way of sending me an email. That's fine. Cool. All right, on to a couple of the other systems that we have. Canvas, and there'll be a full video for Canvas that'll actually show you what it is and how it works, but I'm just going to hit the highlights really fast here. This is a web page that has all of the basic information for your course. So it'll have links to lectures. It's where we can put announcements if I need you all to know something. I'll put it as a Canvas announcement. I'll also make sure it sends as an email, and I'll make a Discord post as well, but announcements are a thing that people do use. And there's a bunch of other features that Canvas has as well, like group discussion boards and group stuff, and there's heaps of things you can do with Canvas. I don't. I use Discord for all of my other things, which I'll talk about in a second, but some people use it for a lot. So some courses will be super heavily engaged in it. At the bare minimum, you'll do virtually all your assessments through Canvas, and you'll get access to a lot of your course information through Canvas as well. Canvas has, I think, turned on by default notifications, so it'll send you notifications at least once a day and sometimes for other things. A lot of students hate these and they turn them off, and that's fine. I tried to turn mine off as well, but be careful. There are some courses that will rely heavily on the announcements feature at the very least, and they will expect you to have read all of the announcements. So if you can not turn that off, that's probably in your best interest, okay? Cool. Some other communication platforms, we have YouTube live stream. So at the moment, this is obviously pre-recorded. It gives no option for back and forth and question and answer and all that type of stuff. So what I do in this course is I also go live on YouTube. That's the thing that's in your timetable as a lecture. And we can hang out and you can ask questions. That's basically its whole purpose. So how can I help? Chat will be on the screen. Ask questions, I'll answer them for you. Sometimes I'll structure out some parts of that live stream such that if I know there's a whole bunch of questions that I've been getting through the week about something, I can stop answering them in shitty little emails on the fly and be like, I'm going to put 10 minutes of live stream content where I actually go through and explain this thing in full because these are really good questions and the whole course will benefit from that. I do heaps of assignment help in live streams, and that's actually my plan for this year is to do even more assignment help in live streams. I'll put the chat on the screen so that I can see it and you can see it. That means if it's not on the screen, it's not visible to me anymore. I can't see the chat anywhere else. So if I do this so that you know if the chat's going really fast and I'm not keeping up with all of the questions and your question goes off screen, just ask it again, put it back in the list. I'll try and get to it. If your question has gone off screen 2 or 3 times, I might be deliberately letting it go and not drawing attention to it. There are several reasons I might not want to draw attention to something on stream or answer it on stream. It might be especially unique to one situation and I'm trying to stay more general. It might be that that's something I want to discuss with you one-on-one. It might even just be as simple as that. The answer to that involves language that I don't want to put on YouTube. There are reasons, right? So if it's gone past 2 or 3 times, send it to me as an email and we'll have a one-on-one if that's what we need to do. If you don't want to throw something in the chat, that's fine. You can send stuff to me on email. You can ask me or through a Discord message and ask to be kind of kept anonymous in this case. I don't necessarily call people out by name anyway, but if you want to ask a question and not have your peers know that you were the one who asked it, that's also totally fine. No problems for me there. And we'll run our first one in week 0. So we'll run the first one of these before semester even starts, such that you can get a whole bunch of these like first initial questions out of the way, and we can kind of test the system out and make sure it's working and do all that kind of stuff as well. So that'll happen in week 0. Whenever it is timetabled in your current timetable, I'll be live then. Okay, Discord, I think this is the last of our platforms that we're going to talk about. Again, there'll be a full video for this. But if you haven't used it before, Discord is a communication platform. It's a web server thing, and you can go in there and communicate through text or voice channels and talk to people. It's really powerful because this gives us peer-to-peer. This lets students talk to students really effectively. Emails mean I can blast you all with an email, sure, but you don't get the back and forth very good. So Discord is really good for peer-to-peer communication. I deliberately run my Discord as a less formal environment than I do emails, such that it can be faster. That's its job. It's to fill that niche. Be quick, be informal, ask for help, get answer as quickly as possible. It's still professional in that this is a moderated community chat. You can't be disrespectful in it. That will immediately get you perma-banned and reported for student misconduct, but you don't have to have a stick up your ass the whole time while you're on Discord. That's very much the point. So we do things like we'll make questions for assessments. We'll make channels, sorry, for assessment questions, and you can go in there and post your questions, and I'll try and answer them. But most of the time, your peers will answer them for you. They're very effective. Yep, we've got some deliberately social channels and then some very specific channels. As I've said, you might have an assessment question. You keep your assessment questions in that particular channel. All right, that's what it's there for. There are other channels for posting memes and stuff like that. That's fine, but they belong in the memes channel, not in my assessments channel. All right, so yeah, cool. Cool. You don't have to ask your questions there if you don't want to. By all means, send an email. That's fine. And we will use it a little bit more this year than we have before, in that we'll use the Discord channels to keep track of your assessment milestones throughout the middle of the semester. Don't stress about it at this stage. It's super duper easy. It's not going to matter for like 8 weeks. But just make sure once you can, you sign up and you get into the Discord and you're on top of those things. All right. To finish this off, I'm going to let you know about some people and some stuff that exists that you probably won't encounter very much, apart from tutors, which you certainly will. Tutors and course coordinators you'll certainly encounter. So tutors are people who run a class. Generally 20 to 30 people are in a tutorial class, and they're smaller sessions where you will generally do work and hopefully get some help from the tutor. That tutor is generally not a full-time employee. They're generally somebody who's paid as a casual to walk in, stand there for 2 hours, and then leave. They're not necessarily paid to prepare content or not necessarily paid to answer your questions outside of class. So be aware of that. Lecturers and course coordinators are then people who obviously deliver content and run courses. They're not always the same person. With large courses, it's quite common to share the load amongst a couple different people. We don't do that in my course, but in like maths and stuff, they at least historically have done that. They're the type of person that you're going to go to when you have adverse circumstances questions. Stuff about assessments often has to be a course coordinator making that call. That's just the way that it works. If you have a dispute with your tutor, you would bring that to a course coordinator. That would be the appropriate kind of chain of command there. Then above-ish that, you have program conveners. So we'll use the word degree. I've got a degree in mechanical engineering. The terminology within the university is program. It's a mechanical engineering program. And thus the person who is on top of all of that is a program convener, is their name. This is the type of person you go to if, say, you want to leave mechanical engineering and go to Enviro. I would go and talk to the Enviro program convener, and they can talk to you about what courses count as credit, how does the process work, all that type of stuff, whether you might actually enjoy the degree or not, the program more or not. Conveniently, program conveners are now actually really easy to find on the website, which is nice because that's a rare thing for our website. But if you Google program convener UON, and then go to like the top result and follow it through, it's actually really simple to find out who your program convener is, which is nice. They change fairly frequently, so knowing how to find that information can be quite useful. Above this, I'll take you through the rest of the university structure then. So you have a program, a degree, that will sit with a couple other degrees that are highly related. So in my case, it's Mecha, Aero, Mechanical, Mechatronics, and Aerospace. We make up that discipline. And then next to us is the disciplines of civil surveying, enviro, chemical and renewable. What am I missing? Um, electrical and medical. So a whole bunch of these different disciplines, and then they make up the School of Engineering. And then there's the School of Engineering, which has a head of school, which kind of makes sense. And then there's a few of these schools: School of Engineering, School of Architecture and the Built Environment, School of Mathematicals and Physical Sciences, a bunch of those. They sit within the College of Engineering, Science, and Environment. They named all the colleges weird names. Uh, and the head of the college is called a Pro Vice Chancellor. That one doesn't make any sense, but that's what they're called. A PVC is the term. And then there's 3 colleges in the university, and those 3 colleges sit under the head of the university, who's called the Vice Chancellor, which, again, weird terminology. They're basically a CEO. So that's the structure of the university. Do you need to know this? Probably not, but nobody else will ever take the time to explain it to you, so now you know how you fit into the big picture. That is sort of the academic structure. They're all people like myself, make up all of these types of roles. Sitting separate to that, separate's the wrong word, adjacent to that, is the services and roles. So things like Ask UON. If you have a question and you don't know who to ask, go and ask UON. That's their job. They're general student inquiries. They will help you out with all of that type of stuff. They're not tied to a school or a discipline or anything like that. It's kind of one for all the students, which means they're great for general inquiries and terrible for anything specific because they don't know anything specific about your degree because they can't. So general inquiries, Ask UON. Another great thing that exists is the counseling service. This isn't just for people who are having a repeating dream where they're constantly falling. If you are having a repeating dream where you're constantly falling, please go and talk to somebody. But the counseling service does much, much, much more than that. Um, they can help people who are having trouble with things like procrastination and not getting work done and not having good study habits. If you're really struggling to study at university and things like that, you can go and talk to them and they can help you with that. They can help you with like social anxiety, how to deal with all the people who are always here. If you're struggling to deal with that, they can help you with that, and how to make friends at university and that type of stuff, how to be away from home for the very first time. These types of things they can help people with. You get like 5 free goes of the counseling service, so if you're struggling, go talk to them. They're great. Um, Another thing that's really helpful is accessibility. So accessibility are for people who know that they're going to need a little bit of extra help throughout their university for whatever reason. Maybe it's a physical disability, maybe it's a mental health thing, maybe it's a circumstances mean that you won't be able to hand assessments in or do a particular type of assessment or whatever. Go talk to accessibility. If we get in front of these things and we can put the plans in place before the start of semester, they're often very effective. If they come out during or at the end of semester, or once an assessment has already been handed in, it's extremely hard to do things better. So we want to help. We want to give as much help as we can because we want university to be hard only because the content is hard, not because you're fighting battles on other fronts. Okay, so we want to support you as much as we can on those things. So engage with the services. And then separate to all of that is SACO, the Student Academic Conduct Officer. This is the person if I believe you've cheated in an assessment, and I believe it's particularly egregious, I can refer the case to the SACO and they come in and be judge, jury, executioner in this case. You can go the other way as well. If I accuse you of cheating and say I'm giving you 0 in this assessment, and you go, I actually don't think I did the wrong thing here, you can go to the SACO and you can have them weigh in on that particular situation. So this is extremely rare for this to come up, but I like students to know that they have that option if they choose to use it. Cool. So I think with that, we are done.